Have you ever had that feeling you're in a store, maybe just trying to get in and out, and someone hands you a free sample?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a little cube of cheese on a toothpick or something. You take it, you eat it, it's fine. But then this weird pressure just washes over you, and
Right.
all of a sudden you feel like you have to buy the full-size $20 block of cheese you absolutely did not want.
That feeling, that exact feeling is one of the most powerful psychological triggers we have.
And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today in this deep dive. We're
Yeah.
looking at the law of reciprocity. Why do we feel this incredible compulsion, this debt? We want to go beyond the sales tricks and really understand the mechanism.
And you got to understand, this is so much more than just some clever marketing trick.
Yeah.
We're talking about something that is fundamentally hardwired into your DNA.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's unpack that core mechanism. I get the free sample.
Right.
What is happening inside my brain in that exact moment?
It's almost brutal in its simplicity. The moment you receive something, doesn't matter how small a kind of psychological tension is created.
Attention.
Yeah, we don't like feeling indebted to someone else. It feels like an imbalance. And so we want to close the loop, pay back the favor, often with way more than what we got, just to get rid of that feeling.
So it's less about the gift and more about erasing the debt.
Exactly. It's a psychological cost we are willing to pay just to avoid the social one.
That distinction is so important because this feeling, it's not random, right? It goes way, way back into our evolutionary history.
Oh, absolutely. If you rewind thousands of years, reciprocity wasn't just, polite. It was literally our survival strategy.
One of the sources we looked at put it perfectly. The idea was that our whole social structure depended on it. It said something like, if I gave you some of my buffalo meat today.
You were socially obligated to give me some of your berries tomorrow.
Yep. It was like the ultimate insurance policy.
It was. And to make sure the system worked, society had to have a huge penalty for anyone who broke the rule. If you were the person who always took but never gave back.
The freeloader.
The freeloader, the moocher, yeah.
Sure.
You got a label.
And what was the consequence of that label?
The social exile.
Yeah.
You were kicked out of the tribe.
And back then, being alone was?
A death sentence. Absolutely. So that fear, that deep primal fear of being cast out and dying alone, that's what cemented this rule into our bones. It's not just politeness, it's survival.
That is terrifying. And that same fear is what makes me feel weird about not buying the cheese today.
It connects a primal instinct to a modern consumer decision. The cost to the giver is tiny, but the psychological debt felt by you, thanks to your ancestors, is huge.
This is where the numbers get really interesting. Let's talk about the famous restaurant study with the wince, because this really shows how a tiny, tiny gift can lead to huge results.
Right. This is the perfect real-world experiment. Researchers wanted to see, exactly how a small gift changes tipping behavior.
Okay, so walk us through it. What was the first scenario?
So scenario A, this is the control. The waiter just drops the check, says thank you. That's it.
And the tips are just normal.
Completely average.
Yeah.
The baseline. Nothing special.
Okay.
Then you get scenario B. The waiter drops the check and leaves one mint candy for each person. A small, kind of expected gesture.
Right. You see that all the time.
And here, tips went up by 3%. A little bump, but, not exactly world-changing.
Okay, a slight increase. But the real magic, the part that blows my mind, is in scenario C.
Scenario C is where it all changes, because it's not just about the gift, it's about the delivery.
What do they do?
The waiter brings the check, leaves 1 mint per person, and starts to walk away.
Okay.
But then they pause, they turn back, and they say something like, you know what, for you nice people, here's an extra one, and they put a second mint down.
So they went from 1 cent of candy to 2 cents of candy. That's the only difference.
That's the only cost difference. Yeah. But the result, tips went up by 23%.
23%. That is a staggering jump for 1 extra mint.
And that's the whole insight right there. The first mint felt like a policy. The restaurant gives mints.
Transactional.
Totally. But the second mint, that felt personal. It felt like a spontaneous, unexpected gift just for you. It wasn't the restaurant's policy. It was the waiter's choice. And that personal touch is what maximized the need to give back with cash.
It just bypasses all your rational thought and hits that primal obligation button. But wait, this brings up a big question. If it's so easy to trigger this, isn't this just, a form of manipulation?
That is the crucial question. And the difference between ethical influence and manipulation all comes down to one thing.
Yeah.
Genuineness. But before we get to that, let's look at why most people get this completely backward.
They usually try to take first, right?
Precisely. The
Mhm.
biggest mistake people make in business, or really anywhere, is they try to extract value before they provide any. They're asking for the sale on the first date.
Yeah, we see that all the time. It's the person asking you to subscribe to their thing before you've seen it, or the email from a stranger asking to pick your brain for an hour.
Exactly. It feels extractive. And your immediate reaction is to put up a wall. Your defenses go way up because they haven't done anything to earn your trust or time.
So the winning play, the reciprocity strategy, is to do the complete opposite. You have to be the one to give first. And not just a little, but with real value.
That's it. You have to create the imbalance in your favor by giving. This is what Gary Vaynerchuk's whole philosophy is built on. Jab, 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 right hook.
Give, then ask.
You give value, you give insight, you help for free,
Ugh.
you build trust, you prove you know what you're talking about, and only after you've done all that do you ask for the sale.
And this is why we see things like lead magnets everywhere now. Free video courses, free consultations.
And they're getting more and more valuable. It's not just a PDF anymore. Businesses are intentionally giving away incredible value for free.
Because it's a strategy. It's a calculated move to create that feeling of obligation.
It's calculated influence. You show them you can help by actually helping them. Then, when you finally ask for something, they're so much more likely to say yes. They feel like they already owe you one. They want to close that loop you opened.
Okay, but let's go back to the catch we talked about, the genuineness part. Because if it's calculated, can it still feel genuine?
This is the nuance. This is what separates the pros from the amateurs. The whole thing falls apart if it feels obviously transactional. If you give with the clear expectation of getting something back right now,
It feels like a bribe.
it feels like a bribe, not a gift. People have excellent radars for fake generosity. If the waiter gave you the mints and then just hovered over your table waiting for you to sign the check, it would feel gross.
Right. Yeah.
The most powerful gifts are the no-strings-attached kind. The ones where the other person doesn't feel this immediate pressure to stop and repay you on the spot. It has to feel like a deposit, not a demand.
You want to make them want to repay you, not feel forced to.
That's the perfect way to put it. Forced is transactional.
Yeah.
Wanting to is relational.
So let's make this practical. Imagine trying to connect with some high-level mentor. The bad approach is emailing and saying, "Can I have 15 minutes of your time?"
Right. You're just asking. You're trying to take their most valuable asset, their time. They owe you nothing. Delete.
So what's the reciprocity approach?
You give first. Massively. Maybe you do a quick audit of their website and you find a broken link or a real SEO opportunity they're missing.
Okay.
And you don't just point it out. You fix it. You do the work. You write the code snippet or the improved copy and you send it to them.
And here's the key part, right? The sign-offs.
The sign-off is the masterstroke. You send them the solution and you say, hey, huge fan of your work. Noticed this, thought it might help. Feel free to use it. No need to reply.
No need to reply. That's brilliant.
It removes all the pressure.
Yeah.
It signals that this was a true gift. You've just given them immense value, proving you're smart and helpful, and demanded absolutely nothing in return.
And boom, the psychological imbalance is huge. That person now genuinely wants to help you. They feel compelled to restore the balance.
They're hardwired not to be a freeloader. Your next email to them will get a very, very different response.
So wrapping this all up, what it really means is that we are all driven by this deep need to repay our debts, whether that's from a piece of cheese or a game-changing business insight.
And the most powerful way to build trust and influence isn't to be the best at taking, but to be the first to genuinely give.
It really is like a law of social physics. You're either using it consciously or you're being moved by it subconsciously.
Which brings up one final thought.
Mm.
If that primal fear of being labeled a freeloader is so deep in us, how often today do we mistake transactional exchanges for real relationships? If people can always feel the string attached to our gifts, what's the long-term cost to our credibility?
That's a really good question to think about.
So for the next week, we'd encourage you to just watch for it. Notice where people are trying to take from you first, and notice where someone is genuinely giving first. Understanding that difference, well, it can change everything.